I think most of the response has really been favorable. I'll give you a prime example. The pace of play, all the rules are to make the game faster. We had a game the other night, Marlins, Minnesota Twins. It went an hour 57.
Really?
An hour 57.
Was Greg Maddux pitching?
No, Sandy Alcantara,
Okay.
Miami's pitcher, threw a 3-hit, 10 strikeout shutout. Now, he threw 100 pitches. He pitched a complete game, but in an hour and 57 minutes. That's a Randy Jones type game.
Yeah.
So the rule change has worked. In terms of total time, the first weekend, Major League Baseball, average time last year was 3 hours and 1 minute. This year, the first weekend, week into the weekend, 2 hours, 36 minutes. So
that's huge.
It's really cut 25 minutes off the game time. So that has worked. In terms of the shift, last year, overall batting average in baseball with the shift was 242. First weekend of games, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, collective team batting averages were 250. So we saw a bump up from 242 to 250. And I think it's just a beginning. I think there'll be more offense. Now, I went back and researched, and in fact, when we're done out in left field today, go check my website, because I wrote a column about the pitch clock and about the baseball history and team batting averages, et cetera. It's fascinating. When you think the baseball team collective averages last year was 242, baseball back year 2000, modern day, highest average of all time was 270. Way back in the 1930s, highest average was 292. So it's interesting, but baseball's obviously pushing this pace of play, make the games better, and obviously taking the shift out of the game, I really believe is going to add more offense to games. I'm in favor of all that. Stolen bases. In memory of Lou Brock, Maury Wills is happening. First day of the season was last Thursday. 23 stolen bases in the first day of baseball. All the games are 16 games or 15 games. 21 of 23 on the base paths. 21 stolen bases in 23 attempts. A year ago, opening day, 5.
Really?
Only 5 stolen bases opening day last year. There were 21 this past Thursday.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it is. And what's happened is, John, you make a pitch, you throw to first. Okay. You've used one of your opportunities. You're probably not going to use the second one. And by the way, I'm taking a bigger lead because I don't think you're going to throw over here again. I'm gone. Think about that. 21 of 23 in stolen bases on opening day in baseball. So the dynamics of the game have changed, and somewhere in heaven, Lou Brock and Maury Wills are saying, right on.
Yeah, well, that's why Arizona was running wild on the Padres. They probably realized they have a strategic advantage, right?
Probably realize they got Austin Nola behind home plate, and they better figure something out, whether it's him or Campusano. Something has to change there. So that was good. And then the batter's box rules, and obviously Tim Anderson, Machado, et cetera. There've been hardly any calls, violations of the pitchers for not getting the ball to home plate. In fact, there've probably been more violations about the Max Scherzers of the world trying to do something to psych out the batters than there have been ball, you're taking too long. And the incidents at home plate have been really few and far between. So I think the positive is, because the 6 weeks in the Cactus League and the Grapefruit Circuit, everybody really had a sense of what this rule was. You might as well adjust to it and get used to it. But it's not to say there's not going to be issues there, because, you can only step out of the box one time, John. That's an item. And for the pitchers that are scuffling on the mound, I think this is going to be a big issue. How do I get my command back? I don't have time to think about what I'm doing because I got to get the sign because the clock is ticking. So I think that's going to be a bigger challenge for pitchers if they're not doing well. And one other item, and I've watched a lot of games on TV since the season started. Everything from the pitcher's perspective on the mound just seems rushed. There's no time to catch your breath because you got to stand up there, get the pitch, make the delivery. Here's an intangible thing. What's the weather like in St. Louis and Kansas City in July and August and September?
Yeah, hot.
What about the fatigue factor for pitchers on the mound having to pitch at a faster tempo as the sun bakes off the artificial turf in these places? I don't know if anybody's paid any attention to the potential issue with that, But I think starting pitchers are going to struggle in the heat of the summer in all these ballparks when they're on the mound, watching the clock, get the sign, and got to get it back to the play. I think it's going to be a big challenge. Your response?
Yeah, I think especially with with the runners going wild on the base paths, I think it's going to put a lot of stress on those pitchers. But let me ask you this kind of a different angle. But the pace of the game is a big difference. Like you just said, some games under 2 hours, which is incredible. I wonder what the economic effect of this is, because if the games are shorter, there's less game time, therefore less commercials. The people in the stands are buying less hot dogs and less beer. I mean, is this going to have an impact economically on the sport?
Everybody keeps statistics and records, including the organizations, about what they sell at the concessions and all that. So, John, if you're going to run up the stairwell from our box seats to go get a beer, you might miss an inning. Or an inning and a half. So I don't want any beefing if you come back and say, what happened? You got your beer, you got your dog. No, I think there's an intangible there that clubs will pay attention to. But Rob Manfred is not going to change the rules based on how many hot dogs they do sell or don't sell
Right.
at the fish taco stand at Petco Park. Okay, let's move on. We got